So we're heading over to the pet store to get Rudy a martingale collar. So one of the things I noticed where we're still struggling with him jumping and pulling on the leash, I tend to see it when I get to see it happening. It's happening in the morning at drop off or at pickup time when like he's at his peak of excitement level. One thing I will say that I notice is that he's typically, at least at drop off, he tends to be on his harness. I'll try to talk over this noise here. So having your dog on the harness gives you way less control. Harnesses are a super mitigation tool for when you're just trying to get exercise or get from point A to point B and you're not going to reinforce not pulling on the leash or yielding to leash pressure. So harnesses are a piece of equipment that I use on my dog when I don't care if they pull. The other thing too is it's not what I want to use if I'm going to actually practice polite greetings with my dog. So Rudy has the tendency to jump up on people when he's excited. The harness is going to make it very difficult for us to mitigate that behavior. So I definitely want him on a collar, leash and collar, or a slip leash when we're practicing these behaviors. So right now he's on a slip leash. I have his his leash here and his collar here. His leash is a bit short, I would say. So that's kind of another thing we want to take a look at as far as his equipment and what's going to set him up for success. He's got, I would say this is about a 3.5 to 4 foot leash, if I had to guess. No, I'm no mathematician, but it's a pretty short leash. So what's kind of funky about pulling on the leash and when we want to have control over a dog on a walk is, you have to go potty, buddy? We have the tendency, I'm going to walk him over here as we talk, maybe get in some grass. So it's noisy over there. Let's go this way. So we have the tendency to want to bunch up our leash when we don't want our dogs to pull. And so this leash right here is very short. It's going to keep him kind of tight. And I want to avoid a tight leash at all times if possible. Tightness on the leash should mean to my dog that you need to change or fix something. So right now, and this leash is about 5, maybe even 6 feet long. So that nice loop in the leash is an open window of communication, letting our dogs know that they're doing the right thing. So this leash, where it's a little bit short and stiff, always has a degree of tension on it unless he's right next to us. So with how we teach loose leash walking and heeling, I want with loose leash walking to have my dog on leash and maybe I follow him around or he'll follow me around. There's no real necessity for him to be right next to me. Good boy. But my biggest rule is that he doesn't pull into pressure. So when he finds the end of the leash and he feels pressure, I expect him to yield to it and come back to me a little bit on his own. And so we have lots of setups where we've taught him that. I'll resend you the links for the yield to leash exercise, but basically right here, boom, he hits the end of the leash. I'm using a little bit of active release, which is where I kind of pull and let go. And now he's kind of yielding to that leash. So with heeling, which is where we're calling him into that specific cue, Rudy, heel. Perfect. That's the position. And there's this little bubble that I have in my head, this little imaginary bubble that I expect him to be in until he is released. Good. Looks like we need to practice heeling versus loose leash walking just a little bit. Good. Heel. Good. So right there. Good. I'm using the leash to bink, bink, bink. Keep him in that bubble. When he's in the bubble, bink. Good. That leash is loose. Good. Okay. Perfect. And I want to make sure I release him out of heeling. Now we're back to loose leash walking. So that's kind of a distinction that we really want to make sure that we're practicing. Otherwise, the dog becomes unclear. So with heeling, again, we're calling him into heel. Heel. Good. You just need some practice at home with that, I would say, just to get that a little bit more muscle memory. So I'm saying right now because he broke out of heel. And for me, with how we're teaching it, heel is facing the same direction on the left side of my body until I release you. And I want you to kind of assume a sitting position when I stop, heel, and move with me when I move. So I'm going to say if he's moving out of heel position. At the same time, I'm also, at any time I'm using my no reward marker, I'm using my leash as well. Good. Good. And anytime my leash is loose, good. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to release him out of there, and he's welcome to kind of come to the front of my body and move around back to loose leash walking. So practice differentiating heeling and loose leash walking to help your dog build clarity on that. Right? So we're going to head to the pet store, and we're just going to loose leash walk over there. I do want to make sure that he's not too far out ahead of me and he's not too far behind me. I'm not going to let him cross over behind me or cross over in front of me, because that just gets a little bit dicey when we're in a sidewalk especially. So I'm going to have him on a nice loose leash, and I'm only having leash pressure when he needs to change or fix something. So we're going to take a walk. Good boy. Nice. Leave that. Good. A little hair tie on the floor. Something right there. Bring him back on the leash, and now it's loose. Good. So rather than just experiencing leash pressure all the time, ding ding, good. It should start to actually mean something to him when he feels it. So we're very conscious of when it's happening. Good boy. Nice job. So right here, ding ding, a little pressure, ding ding. Good. Good. Ding ding. So a little pressure when he gets a little too far out ahead, and I'm trying to be as consistent as possible. So consistently, I want to talk to him with that leash pressure when he's hitting that bubble. Here we go. Sure. All right, Rudy, you want to come say hi? So when we're going to say hi, I'm going to have treats ready, and as he gets better at this, we can fade the food out of it. So I'm going to get his attention. I'm kind of feed him for a second. I'm going to say, go say hi. Oh, hello. Perfect. And I'm going to have the food right here to kind of help set him up. So if his head is kind of turned to the side, he can receive some nice pets without jumping. And then we can kind of reset. Okay. You want to do one more? Let's go say hi. You say hi? He receives a couple of pets. Yes, good boy. And I kind of call that like a tactical retreat. So if you have a dog that gets a little bit spun up after a couple seconds of getting greeted, you definitely want to make sure that you're starting off with getting pet for like 0.5 seconds, and then either using your clicker or just kind of backing away from the person to kind of reset. So doing a tactical retreat, and then adding a little bit more time to get pet. Good boy. As you go along, so he can kind of start to cope and learn how to deal with that really exciting moment of being pet for longer periods of time, until you're at the point where you can just do this enough times that he gets muscle memory of, when I greet somebody, I run over, I get pet, I stay calm, no thank you, and then I get treats. So he's doing really good with that. Good job, Rudy. All right. So we've got Rudy a nice little martingale collar over here at the pet store. I'm gonna let him take this home and kind of see if you like that. I can order you one with a buckle at some point if he comes back. If you decide to have him come back to school, good boy. Yes, good. Real quick, while we're out here, we're just practicing neutrality. So part of polite greetings is also practicing not greeting. So it's kind of a twofold piece of the puzzle there. So we want him to have the ability to have impulse control around saying people that he would potentially want to say hi to. So basically what I'm doing is just rewarding him for watching and looking at someone walking by and pairing it with food so that he's starting to orient to me, and that creates a conditioned response of, oh, that's exciting, and coming back to me. So we can fade the food out of that behavior as well, but we're working on that as well, because if we want him to learn how to greet people in a calm way, he also needs to learn how to be neutral around those types of exciting things. So we're gonna head back to the studio. He's on his martingale collar. Real quick, I'll kind of talk about why I did that. So before, it was on a flat buckle collar, and with how we're talking about using the leash and pressure, we want to make sure that pressure on our dog means something to them. It should mean that you need to change or fix something. On a flat buckle collar, That's basically the most subtle way we can transfer pressure on a leash and collar. So if you have a buckle collar, it's going to distribute pressure very kind of subtly around in either like basically in the opposite direction of where we're putting pressure. The martingale collar is just like a buckle collar, like a flat buckle like he has, except there's a segment that's either fabric or chain. In this case, it's his is fabric that the leash attaches to. When the leash is taut, that will make the pressure close around his whole neck. And then as soon as we release it, it opens the collar and releases it there as well. Yes. So that will help make the pressure speak to him a little bit more clearly. So it just kind of not amplifies the pressure, but just kind of makes it make a little bit more sense. Good. Perfect. So we're going to heel back to the studio. The only other suggestion I would have for his equipment, where the only time, and honestly at this point, where he's been in school, the only time I notice him really being really jumpy, he is when he gets dropped off in the morning. So that's like the pinnacle of excitement. He's coming to school. All of his friends are outside. He gets to see us. So he's really, really excited. I would make sure that he is in his leash and collar at that point, because anytime we're doing a training session, we want to make sure that we have the ability to control the outcomes of what his decision making is going to be. So the harness is super great when we don't care if he pulls. So if we're out for a walk and just getting exercise, trying to get from A to B, harnesses are great if I'm not going to reinforce yielding to leash pressure or not pulling on the leash. Good boy. It's not a great tool when we're trying to make sure that he's not going to jump on people. It gives us very little control over his body movement. So harnesses make it easier for us to control him in terms of, if you have a really strong pulling dog, a harness can make it easier to kind of manage them through the pulling, but it won't help them yield to pressure. It won't help them learn not to pull in the first place. So I don't like harnesses, especially for dogs who are learning to do polite greetings. So the other thing I was going to mention is this leash is a bit just on a hair on the short side. It might be great for his mom though, because I'm a bit taller. But for me, if I were to be walking Rudy, I would want just a slightly longer leash, because my goal is to have this loop in the leash at all times when he's correct. He's doing a great job right now, so I wouldn't want any pressure on his collar right now, because that should start to tell him that he needs to change or fix something. So while he's correct, he should have a nice loose leash, and as we're walking, I want him to have as much freedom and leash as possible. I'm only using tightness on the leash when I need to communicate something to him. So hopefully that makes sense. So here we go. Nice. So he has a nice loose leash, but yeah, perfect. I didn't need to like ding him right there. He's already learning. If I get out, very good. I'm actually going to feed him because he fixed himself. I didn't have to use the leash to tell him to slow down and stay with me. So see if you can kind of see on the ding right there, some leash pressure. Good. Now we're on a loose leash again. I'm communicating, hey, stay in this bubble. So perfect. Ding right there. This is on the other side door. You didn't even see him. Good boy. Good. All right. Well, he looks great. So the final thing we're going to kind of review is the leave it or drop it exercise. Good job, Rudy. All right, so we're going to kind of review his leave it exercise. We have a couple of random objects here that I'm assuming he likes to steal when he's home. So we have a little rag, a shoe, a toothbrush. I'm not sure how he gets a hold of that, but that's interesting. This is his bag of food, which I might actually use as a little bit of a bomb as well. So I'm just going to kind of have these things out here. I'm going to let Rudy into the room, and I'm just going to use my leave it command. So we've practiced this enough times in the studio that he's pretty successful at this. But just to reiterate, if there's specific objects that he's stealing in the house, we want to make sure that we set this up. So we don't want to practice leave it when we're working with a dog that's potentially going to resource guard an object, and that's what we're talking about here. So Rudy likes to steal specific things, like tissues maybe and dish rags and things like that, and then he runs off. It becomes a game, and then he also hoards it and does not want you to take it from him and has the potential maybe to actually guard that object. So I want to make sure I'm practicing this with a leash on until we're really, really successful. So he's just about at that point where I could potentially take the leash off and use this, but we use the leash to avoid having him be in a situation where he actually does feel threatened enough to take it to the next level and bite us. So we don't want to do this this exercise hands-on. We also don't want to only practice this exercise in the moment when it's happening. So we're doing laundry, we drop a sock, he snags it. That's not the time to try to practice this exercise. That's a mistake. So in that case, I would be looking to do something where we're trading him, and avoiding any situation where I'm running around chasing him, because that can actually reinforce, that can become a game that he likes to do. So that's something to kind of pick apart too as well. If your dog is stealing something and running away and kind of doing that thing where they do this and they put their butt up in the air and they want you to chase them, I would be looking for a opportunity, an outlet for that behavior. That's how your dog wants to engage with you. So if you have a dog that wants to steal things and make you chase them, I would be looking to set up a game in their life where that's okay to do. And we call that windows of opportunity. So if my dog likes to steal cardboard from the trash, obviously that's not something I want to allow him to do. Outside of that behavior, maybe I set up a game where, because I can monitor him and he's dragging a leash, I can let him destroy a little bit of cardboard when I use my windows of opportunity words. So I have an old pizza box and I have him on leash, and I'm going to say, ready? Okay, go get that pizza box. And then he grabs it and I'm like, oh, don't you take that. And I'm going to run after you and chase you. And oh, this is so fun. He gets to chew on it a little bit. That's great. And then I step on the leash, I pick it up, and then I say, enough. And the dog, and we have videos on how we did this. We made one of these with Rudy as well. But with windows of opportunity, we control the opportunity to practice those naughty behaviors that your dog is biologically inclined to do. So back to Rudy. I'm going to let him into the room. I'm going to see if he's inclined to pick up any of this stuff. Hey, Rudy. Come on. All right. His leash is draped over his bum. Perfect. So we're just going to hang out and kind of see what he does. What do you think? What you got? What's that? Oh boy. Not so much? So I might kind of interact with some of these objects just to see if he's inclined to pick one of those up. Perfect. Rudy, leave it. Great, so he's ignoring me. I'm going to step on the leash. Leave it. And now I'm good. Now I'm going to, I would have used a leave it. Slide upwards, oops, pressure. His little foot got caught there. Release the pressure when he stops. Good. Ready? Okay. Good. So this is windows of opportunity. We're practicing the leave it exercise. He's inclined to want to play with weird things like toothbrushes. So we're going to do it in a healthy, appropriate way that I can control. Oh, I know. Perfect. Good job. So we're going to play. And this time, because he blew me off the first time when I said the leave it word, I'm going to go ahead and actually having him on a longer leash would be much better for this. I'm going to let him play, and I'm going to, oh, look at you go. He's having a blast. He needs this in his life. He's having so much fun. So he needs a way to do this with us that outside of when he's doing it not in a naughty way. So we're going to say, Rudy, leave it. I'm going to give him about So right there, I said leave it. He's re-engaging. Slight upwards pressure. Perfect. I was kind of hoping he'd be a little bit more naughty. Good. So slight upwards pressure. Good. I'm releasing the pressure as soon as he does. So I'm going to say leave it. Good. So slight upwards pressure when he's chewing on it. Slight upwards pressure when he's chewing on it. Good. Releasing it as soon as he lets it go. Leave it. Slight upwards pressure. He's still trying to chew on it, so I'm going to maintain the pressure. Release it as soon as he lets go. Good. Good. Leave it. Good. Leave it. Good. Okay. No, thank you, Chloe. Get it. Perfect. We're going to go through a couple of cycles of this until he starts to learn that when I say leave it and he goes after it, he's not going to get to play with it. If I say leave it and I move it around and he doesn't go after it, he gets to play with it. So there's clarity here when it's appropriate to grab that thing and when it's not. And it makes it much more likely, the more we practice this, that he's not going to grab one of these inanimate objects out of context, outside of this window of opportunity, and have a hard time ignoring it and letting it go. Good job. So I'm going to pick up his leash and let him play with that toothbrush a little bit more so he doesn't associate me coming over and grabbing the leash with the end of fun. What you got? Give me that toy. Give me that toy. Give me that toy. Yeah, he wants to hoard. No, thank you. He wants to hoard this toy. Give me that. Give me that. Good boy. And that's how he wants to play. So we want to make sure we're creating a game that spins his dials. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say, Rudy, leave it. Good. Good boy. Leave it. Good. Leave it. Good. Leave it. Good. Leave it. Good. Okay. Good boy. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that toothbrush. So we can play a little fetch with it. Ding, ding, ding. Go get it. I'm going to get it. Oh, you're too slow. I got it. Good boy. Good boy. Good job. Oh, good job. All right. Rudy, leave it. Good. Good. Leave it. Good boy. Leave it. Good. Okay. Nice job. Good job. So he's got to learn a little bit of the release. When I say okay, it's okay to re-engage. Oh, give me this thing. Give me that thing. Good boy. Nice job. Good boy. Leave it. Good. Leave it. That was okay. Leave it. Good. Good. And obviously it loses some of its luster because we got to play with it. Leave it. Good boy. Okay. Okay. Good boy. Perfect. So he needs lots of practice like this with lots of different types of whatever it is he's trying to steal and hoard and guard. But I think this is really great for him. So good job, Rudy. Good job.